Hello, traders. This is General Romulus coming to you live from the Forum in ancient Rome. If you're watching this from the arena, get comfortable. This video is going to be a little bit longer. That's right. Okay, I am not a stockbroker, financial advisor, or passing along any type of advice, suggestions, or otherwise to you. This is strictly for entertainment, educational purposes only. Okay, how do we know whether stocks are going to go up or whether they are going to go down? Well, in the ancient world, previously before even the ancient Roman times, in old Greece, they used to ascend a mountaintop and seek the oracle of Delphi. Well, I don't know how accurate that oracle really was, but from time to time, like a broken clock, it probably got everything right. The fact is, however, we do not know for sure. We simply can apply odds, probabilities, averages, experiences, and such. So let's do a little experiment, shall we? What if you were a boy in a bubble, or a man on the moon, or a woman wandering through the woods? And after all this bubble and moon and woods wandering, you came back to modern day Earth without really knowing anything that had been going on for the last several months. Nothing at all. You have all of your knowledge information from prior, but you don't know anything about what's been going on recently. Okay, so you come back from the moon, or you come out of your bubble, or you have wandered out from the woods. And what do we tell you? Everything that's been going on lately. A few weeks ago, the American military went in and snatched from his own secret hiding home, just snatched a dictator out of his own country. Think about what that might do to the global geopolitical situation. Again, you've been in a bubble, you've been on the moon, you've been wandering around the woods, you don't know any of these things, and now you learn that the U.S. military went in and just snatched a president of a country. Illegitimate at that, but a president of a country. Then you hear that Iran is just practically burning down, okay? Protests all over the country, all major cities, massive eruptions, thousands and thousands of people have been killed. This country is in total chaos right now. And Iran, you know from before you went into the bubble, before you went to the moon, and before you went into the woods, that has been a major hotspot of problems internationally for decades and decades. Now, however, things seem to be coming to a very strong inflection point. So we have a dictator snatched from his home. We have Iran almost burning to the ground. What do you think that's going to do to the stock market? Again, you don't know. You haven't been around for a while. You've been in your bubble on the moon or in the woods. You don't know anything that's been going on in the markets. Now you hear this news. What do you think? I mean, honestly, would you actually believe me if I told you that the S&P 500 just today traded at a new all-time high? The Dow Jones Industrial Average is just a touch below a new all-time high. Small cap stocks hitting new all-time highs today. Western Europe hitting new all-time highs yesterday. Even China spunking up a little bit and running. Brazil not too far off. Japan just off new all-time highs. Would you believe that almost every major stock market index around the entire world, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of wealth for billions of people at new all-time highs? With that news, with what just happened in Venezuela and what is right now going on in Iran? Well, old General Romulus has seen these things a time or two in his travels throughout history. And now it's time to get into a bit of a reason that can help us understand what's happening now, and most importantly, what are the odds about what might be happening next? You like math? When was the last time you took a geometry class? That was my best math class, geometry. That was way back in high school and also college. From my murky memory, I mean, we had colleges back in ancient Roman times. That's right, this is a triangle right here, a pretty standard triangle. This is not a standard triangle. This is something a little bit different. And it portends an outcome that perhaps would be surprising to you after you just learned about all the terrible news that has been going on in the world. Something I've heard for my entire career, which in real human years equals over 31 years, is that a bull market likes to climb a wall of worry. Now, we don't have any worry in this wall that's staring us in the face right now, but it is a wall nonetheless. And what does that mean? What does it mean that a bull market likes to climb a wall of worry? Well, people like to buy stocks today because they anticipate something good happening in the future. They believe that earnings are going to improve, or trade is going to get better, or for some reason or another, the stock market or an individual stock looks like an attractive situation today that they believe will become more attractive over time. And if everybody believes the same thing, if everyone believes that they're buying now and the stock market will go higher, everybody in the world today buys stocks. Everybody. Well, what happens tomorrow? There's nobody left to buy. So who are we going to sell these things to? How are the stocks going to go even higher if there's nobody left to buy? There has to be more buying power. There has to be more fuel. There must be more demand for the stock individually that you're speaking of, or the broad market that is going to drive that stock or the stock market higher. And that demand comes from people that haven't bought yet. And why don't they buy? Because they're worried. But every day, every week, every month that goes by that a bull market continues to march, there's a little more good news that drops, and that propels the market up again a little more. But still, there are people that worry. Still, people are concerned. That's why they still have money, and they haven't bought everything, all the stocks with their money yet. Do you see the difference? If there's nobody worrying about the future of the stock market, there's nobody left to buy. So there has to be people that are at least a little bit worried, at least a little bit concerned, and have a little bit of money that they haven't put in yet, but they will with each day that passes, each week, each month that goes by, and there's a little more good news. Or there's less to worry about. There's less bad news. For example, the situation in Venezuela turned out to be nothing more than us, the U.S. military, snatching a total moron and a killer and putting him in his rightful place. The situation in Iran is a lot different, however, and we'll get into that more in a minute. But before we get into the situation in Iran with more detail, let's go back to our math situation that we have. Triangles. Yes, okay. Now this is right now the S&P 500. So this is where all 500 stocks within the S&P reside as an index, as a basket, as a bucket. They're all configured in here, and they're all averaged as they're trading every single day. And if more of them go up than go down, then the index itself will advance on the day. Well, not just the numbers of stocks, but the percentages that they each go up and down on a given day. So today, down a little bit. More stocks most likely went down than went up, and that pulled the index down a little bit. You see that? However, look at this right here. First of all, for several months, we have been placing these two barriers, these two blocks to the price of the S&P 500. It has been coming and going between these two lines for some time. You see, a little more clear there. It bounced, hit it up, and then fell. It touched here on the low, went up, went back down, went up, went back down. This time it didn't come all the way back down to the line, but it went back up to the top area. It fell again, went back up to the top area again, fell a little bit. And a couple of days ago, it just came out and through it. Just broke through it like a mean old gladiator breaking through the temple walls to get that gold that's stored up in there. Now, this is an actual technical analysis configuration. One of the more traditional and, in my opinion, more reliable configurations and patterns that does exist that repeat themselves within the stock market. Again, it's a little easier if we move it to a line chart. We could see that it is developing in here, and then it comes up and out a few trading days ago. That could be seen right about in here. Okay, this is, again, an ascending triangle. What's an ascending triangle, Romulus? Tell us. Tell us what an ascending triangle is. Go ahead and pull that dusty old notebook out from your ancient Roman catacombs and tell us what this is. Okay, well, an ascending triangle has a flat top. Okay, this is a flat top. See, it kind of looks like a triangle here. It has a flat top that's called a horizontal resistance area. We already highlighted the price points when, for some reason or another, investors decided that that was all they wanted and price needed to fall back. Here, 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 and here. So it had several touch points along this upper resistance line. The ascending part, though, comes from what's going on underneath. See, we have a series of what we call higher lows. We have a low here. This low point is higher than that one. This low point is higher than that one. We have a series of higher lows. Well, that means that even though supply started to emerge at these price points, at this resistance area, with each subsequent correction, the supply dwindled out faster and or demand returned sooner, propelling prices higher again. Okay? That's what happened here. That's what happened here. And in a very small degree, it's also what happened right here about a week ago. Now, the part breaking through the upper resistance line and the higher lows, that's right, higher lows that we just talked about, these are not the only positive aspects of this particular pattern that I like, that a lot of traders look for and appreciate. It's also the fact that the higher lows signify something that is important. The volatility is starting to contract. That means that the severe up and downs. You see this move from here to here and then all the way back down, somewhat severe. Back up, not quite as severe. Back up, not quite as severe. Things are calming down, okay? This is something that is often seen before prices break and they start to run. Now, this could happen up or down, by the way. It doesn't always happen. We have an ascending triangle in front of us, but there is such a pattern that is somewhat reliable as well, called a descending triangle, just the reverse, that what we're looking at now. But when the price finally breaks through that resistance area, in this case, it's the top resistance, then that volatility typically will start to expand, helping prices propel up to a new level. Now let's check if we do get an expansion on that price. So really, we had a false breakout kind of here, then a pullback, a little bit here for a couple of days on January 6th. But the real breakout looks like to be that it happened last Friday, January 9th. So let's see if we also get at least somewhat of a volatility expansion in this area. It doesn't have to be on the exact day, but sometime in the past 4 or 5 trading days. Well, we can see that by going over to the VIX, which is a measure of what? Volatility. And what is the VIX doing? The higher it goes, that means volatility is starting to expand. That means volatility is increasing, not decreasing. And the low volatility right after Christmas, that's not surprising, had a bit of a dip here on Friday the 9th. And look, it is going up. Okay, it is heading higher. Now, on a breakout from a bullish configuration, which is the ascending triangle, this has a bullish expectation. And stick around because there are 2 things I want to finish talking about: the situation in Iran and what this might mean, this particular situation might mean for us. But this is a bullish configuration. That means that volatility will not keep expanding for the longevity of this pattern, because typically upside moves come with decreasing volatility. As people, what do? They start to worry a little bit less and a little bit less. There's a little bit lower of that wall of worry to climb over. This is fascinating. Well, I do. I believe it is, at least. I hope you do too. Okay. There's a bit of math here, not just a triangle, not just geometry, but flat out math. We have an ability to measure how far this might go. And by the way, keep in mind, this is not foolproof by any means. I have come across many ascending triangles and many descending triangles in my day that looked fantastic and failed. And they just didn't work out. Okay, as a matter of fact, oil is kind of putting that right now. This was a descending triangle. See that area, that support area that it broke down through last month, about a month ago actually, giving a much lower price target, but then it just turned back around on the Iranian news of recent and smashed that pattern to bits, totally destroyed it. So we have that. It happens a lot. However, even with a frequency of failure, this is still the ascending triangle and descending triangle have one of the highest success rates of any of the technical analysis patterns that I am aware of. So we can do a little bit of math in here. All right, hey, we're almost done. Bear with me. Thank you very much. I should have said bull with me. So we take the low price of 65.50, give or take, and you take the top resistance area, 69.15. That's a little bit higher, actually, 69.25. So do that and subtract those 2 numbers. Okay, so you have 69.25 is the top area. 69.25 minus 65.50. That's 375 points. You add that to the top resistance line of 69.25, and you get a target of 7,300. That's how that works. So the target is way up here. Okay, I don't even have it on my scale here. The target's way up here. And if you want to talk about a percentage move, 375 divided by 69.25, that's a 5.5% move. And today's low basically took it right back to the resistance, former resistance area, and that could be coming across as a retest. So there's a decent upside potential. And by the way, when I see these things, I almost never believe that they're going to go the full money on their runs. So my personal target on this would be about 71.50, give or take. So maybe about a 4% move instead of 5.5%, somewhere in that neighborhood. However, it could move quite a bit here over coming months. The pattern took 2.5 months to fulfill. It could take 2.5 months or to break out. It could take 2.5 months more to hit its destiny. So that would bring us into the middle or late part of March. And as long as price doesn't really get strongly below this curving yellow line, I know there's a lot of yellow lines on here. I should change that. As long as price doesn't get too dramatically below this curving yellow line, like right about in here, actually, so we can draw another yellow line, right about here, give or take. As long as price doesn't get too dramatically below that area, then this pattern is still alive and can still fulfill its ultimate destiny into the low 7,000 range. And again, this would be over a period of some months. Got it? God, we had math. We had a little bit of geography. We had some history. This is all from some guy that's been around for 2,700 years. Boop. Okay, back to Iran. First, full sympathy for innocent people that are caught up in this thing. Okay, I mean, they say that thousands of protesters have been killed, and I have no reason to disbelieve that. I also believe that there are at least hundreds or maybe thousands of completely innocent people, maybe women, children, elderly, infirm, that have been killed. And that's just always a disaster. Always, always, always a disaster. Okay, can't abide by that kind of thing. However, they've put up with this for going on almost 50 years. And I guess they've hit a point of no return on ready to see something different. And I can't blame them for that either. So, but let's just check this out. It is impacting the oil markets. You can see the price of oil has gone up from about $56 a barrel. I mean, even a couple of weeks prior, 55, hitting all the way up here at $61. So we have a decent, over a 10% sized move in oil in the very recent past. And when you see something like this, like boom, 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 I mean, that's something. Okay, that's a news-related type of thing usually, and it is the Iranian situation. With that, however, there's a lot of oil in the world. I mean, not including what is about to come online in Venezuela. Venezuela oil production and exports will go up, but it will take a while. I mean, it's going to be at least 6 months before we see any kind of increase over there, and 18 to 24 months before anything serious really starts to happen. However, markets do what? They look in the future. They climb that wall of worry that is in the future. And so they're pricing in a possibility of more supply from Venezuelan oil, which probably started happening way back here when, people were aware of the possibility of the attack going on. So oil prices were going down. And now we have the Iranian situation, which is pushing them right back up. And I don't know how this is going to evolve. This is a volatile situation, talking about volatility. However, the first sign of a decent pullback in the price of oil would tell me that things have been agreed to that we're not aware of yet, that there is going to be a changing of the news that we see in the near future, that kind of thing. So I'll watch it. In addition, forget about Venezuelan and Iranian oil. There's just a lot of oil in the world, period. So I don't expect oil to run too much further, even if the Iranian situation devolves and becomes significantly worse over the next couple of weeks. I don't really expect oil to go too much higher. I don't know how much oil Iran puts out to the world, but they're not a significant player. The top oil reserve countries, the United States, so one thing about Venezuela, everyone always says in the news, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. That's total garbage. About 16 years ago, the Venezuelan government just announced out of the blue that they had double their reserves that they actually have. that was proven by real companies like Chevron, Exxon, Halliburton, Schlumberger, and other professional operations. The best estimate there was about 150 billion barrels of oil. But Chavez announced back in 2009 that they had 300 billion because that would suddenly start to get him more favorable loan terms and other international financial benefits. But they don't have that. They don't have anywhere near that kind of oil. That's a complete fantasy to think that they have. So the number one oil reserve country is the United States, even though that's kind of an unofficial situation. 2 would be Saudi Arabia, 3 Russia, and 4 would be Venezuela. So a lot of oil out there from these countries, Russia, United States, and Saudi Arabia. And 2 of those 3, America and Saudi Arabia, are pumping and have access to quick supply easily. And if there's any ripple of a coming positive outcome with the Russian-Ukraine war, that would result in Russian oil that is there right now, ready to come out, ready to go into the international markets. That would push the price of oil down, most likely down into the low 50s and possibly even into the mid 40s. Okay, I told you there'd be a lot today. If you want to contact me directly, you can always reach me at romulusteaches@yahoo.com. Again, romulusteaches@yahoo.com. So excited that you were able to join me today, and I look forward to coming back from the ancient Roman Colosseum to fight with you in the trading pits in the near future. Remember, this is General Romulus, and my main goal is to find consistent returns regardless of market direction. I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it goes down. I just want to keep making that consistent amount of money. Don't you? Okay, I'm heading back in my chariot, going to ancient Rome. There's an awesome chariot race. I'll not be participating, but it's going to be going on in the Circus Maximus here in a bit, and I do not want to miss it. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. I